Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and today we're talking about Rotary, specifically District 7610, which includes Northern Virginia. And our current district governor is Jonathan Lucas. Thank you so much for being here, District Governor Lucas.
Thanks for having me.
So formal, right? Like, oh, district governor. So you started the job because our Rotary year runs July 1st to June 30th. So you've been on the job since July 1st. It's been an exciting time for Rotary, but an exciting time because of a lot of things going on in the world right now. To talk a little bit about where are the clubs in our district? We have a lot of clubs. Talk a little bit about where those clubs are located and sort of the architecture structure of Rotary.
Certainly. We have 56 clubs, soon to be 55. We have 2 that will be merging soon to one club. And they stretch as far down to the northern neck on the southeast side of our district, up, of course, around the Beltway here, out to Orange in the west, and down to Charlottesville and sort of the southwest, and everywhere in between. So we're pretty big geographically, and our clubs, they each have their own board, their own president, and their own 501c4 status. So they're operating independently, but they funnel up to the district as we conduct initiatives and trainings and things like that.
So a lot of people think of Rotary as something their grandfather did. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
So actually they let women in 1988, yay go me. So I got to join Rotary in 2008. One of the missions for you has been to actually broaden and expand people's idea of who a Rotarian is. Am I right?
Absolutely. And going into my year, one of the biggest initiatives that I'm trying to bring is diversity and inclusion. So things like reaching out to the LGBTQ community, people of color. I really want our Rotary clubs to represent the communities in which they're in. And so it's a huge importance to me. And we'll be able to grow our membership this way, strengthen our foundation, and also strengthen the projects we do both here in Virginia and around the world.
So some of those projects include, I think every club does scholarships for high school students. And there's some long-term projects that clubs do, and then there's clubs choose for themselves.
Correct. So we have anywhere from doing education initiatives around the world to clean water initiatives around the world to supporting our local high schools and elementary schools here locally. Whatever the cause may be, each club sort of picks its unique arrangement of projects that are dear to them and play to their strengths, and they support.
And so some of those are local. So I belong to the Rotary Club of Centerville Chantilly, and we do an international project in Haiti, and we have now for 7 years, I think. Yeah. But we also give scholarships to high school students at Chantilly High School and Westfields, and we do a variety of projects locally in our area. And it's all volunteers, and I think that's important to tell people. It's all volunteers. And, we are a nonprofit. In other words, there's not a paid staff in these clubs. A lot of people, I think, believe that it's for business people, and certainly that's how the club started. But it's gone way beyond that.
Yeah, way beyond that. I mean, I think that's one facet of joining Rotary, the chance to expand your networking capability. But really now we're focused on how we impact our communities, again, both locally and globally, and bring people in with different strengths, different backgrounds, different skill sets. And we're trying to be inclusive also of, hey, let's make this a family-oriented thing. So you don't as our RI president says, you don't need to choose between your family and your civic life. Find ways to meld the two together and really build our communities up.
So that's kind of something new that you're bringing, because there are a lot of traditions in Rotary, and some of the clubs are more traditional than other clubs. I must say my club tends to be not so traditional. Some of the clubs sing. Okay, so I like to say we're a non-singing club, but for the clubs that sing, I think that's fine. It's just that not all of us do that. So there, you might find if people go to different Rotary clubs that there's a distinct personality.
Very much so. And one of the things we talk about this year is understand people's passions, right? So it's not just, we used to try to bring in new members through a geographic process where, okay, this is the closest club to where you may live, you should check it out, which is important. But now we're saying, okay, what is this club doing, and how does this club match the interest and skills of the person who's interested in joining Rotary, and making sure we're matching those two things together.
Yeah, and I think we have more than 30 clubs in just the Northern Virginia area.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
I'm always trying to match people, either, again, with interests. There, the Tyson's Corner Club, Ingrid Paris Hicklin is a past president.
Yep.
Tyra is the president now, and they meet at 7:30 on Thursday mornings, which for a lot of people is perfect. They either work in Tyson's Corner or they live close by there, but also that club is doing a lot of unique things. And so knowing more about the clubs, I tend to find people interested or think they might be interested in Rotary and say, try the Dunn-Loring Club, or try the Tyson's Corner Club, or try the McLean Club. We have a lot of clubs.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And that's why I'm doing two distinct things this year. One of which is we've reformatted our newsletter, which is coming out this week, actually. And the stories that will be in there will be stories of what these clubs are doing out in the community, so people see that. But also, for years, we've historically had an internal Facebook page, right? So you as a member can see what's going on, but it wasn't reaching the masses out in the community.
No, it was a group. It was a Facebook group.
Facebook group, thank you. Look there, your technical expertise is great. So now we've created an outward Facebook page, so the community at large in Northern Virginia can see what our clubs and what our Rotarians are doing, and that way we'll build greater interest in our mission.
And that's one of the things that I love about Rotary. Of course, the whole concept of the Rotary wheel is that when Paul Harris first started Rotary back in 1905, it was 5 businessmen, and they rotated where they met. And these were businessmen interested in fellowship and also interested in giving back to the community. So back in 1905, they thought this was a good idea. And so Rotary is still like that. When you're a member of one club, you can visit any Rotary club in the world.
Yep.
And we have an app for that. Right?
And we do. And that's one of the great things about being a Rotarian is I know so many people, including myself, when I travel anywhere in the world, I use that app and say, okay, is there a meeting while I'm here? And the people you meet, the different projects that are going on around the world, just the way to connect and always feel like you're home even when you're gone, is really unique aspect that Rotary brings to the table when you're a member.
Oh, and the fact that, so you're wearing your Rotary shirt, and when people see the Rotary symbol, it's an international symbol. So people recognize it. When my husband and I went to the International Rotary Convention that was in Hamburg, Germany, and so every time my husband saw Rotarians anywhere, including in Berlin later, he was like, Rotary, my wife's a Rotarian. And he was just like flagging down anybody who was wearing anything Rotary, like Rotary. He's not even a Rotarian. But he's very enthusiastic about it. And so I would say that that is the thing about having 1.2 million Rotarians and 32,000 clubs around the world, is that people know that we are doing work on clean water, maternal health, education, things like that, including polio.
Yep.
So we're getting closer.
Getting closer. So we got 2 countries right now, Afghanistan and Pakistan, that are having a few new cases. I think we're up to 56 and I might have it conversely wrong, but 56 in Afghanistan. And I think recently we've had about 3 or 4 new cases in Pakistan. And we're getting in there. We're working with a multitude of different agencies to try to eradicate it. And we're doing things here locally in the district. We have polio nights for each of the professional sports teams in DC. So come October 6th, it'll be the last home game for the United and DC United. So we will be going there. Each ticket you buy as a Rotarian to go to that game, money is matched by DC United that goes to eradicating polio. And
October 24th is World Polio Day.
Correct.
And so a lot of young people, and this is what I think is one of the challenges of an older organization that's trying to attract younger people, is a lot of young people really don't know what polio is. They've heard of it, they don't, it's not something in their world, they haven't met people who have had polio, and so we have to be vigilant. We'll never actually step away from the constant immunizations, which is what it's going to take to truly eradicate it and keep it eradicated, is the constant immunizations. And Rotary has taken that on since, I don't know,
30 some years.
30 some years to try and do that. But other things that Rotary has taken on, and this was the great thing about being at the International Rotary Convention, is things like human trafficking and other kinds of issues that people are aware are huge global issues.
Yes.
You know, what do you see as far as the District 7610, what your focus is? You know, that's the other thing. District governors have 1 year. That should probably change. But anyway, just throwing it out there. Like maybe 2 years would be better, but throwing it out there. But, you know, 1 year is a very short amount of time.
It really is. And it's funny you say that. What we call the G governor string, we meet continuously. So it's myself, Harry Henderson, who's the governor next year, and Pat Borowski follows. And we talk about that all the time. By the time you gear up in your year, it's almost over. So you're right. And not that I don't know if I'd want to serve 2 years, but we probably do need that to really keep the consistency going. And that's why for us, the governor's string is very important that we communicate. So things that I start, initiatives, projects, will continue for the next couple of years because those governors know about it. But the one thing I do want to say, what we're doing in Rotary District 7610, besides polio, is we're understanding that it is sort of foreign to a lot of people here in the States because there's no cases.
Yeah, we haven't had cases.
So
yet.
the two things that we're focusing on is Alzheimer's, and we have something called CART, Coins for Alzheimer's Research, that each club has buckets and they collect change, and that change will go to smaller research schools who are not getting these big federal grants, but may have the cure, may have an idea of how to cure this dreaded disease, and this money will go to those researchers. And then secondly, opioid awareness and prevention. Huge around the world, huge in this country, huge here in Fredericksburg and Fairfax County, and where I live in Alexandria. So we're doing projects locally to raise awareness about that and help people get the resources they need.
And I do think that helps to bring home to the people who are watching why Rotary is relevant. It's still very relevant because each club raises money. People might be familiar with the Vienna Club. They actually run Viva Vienna, which is every Memorial Day weekend. They took that over at some point, I think, from the town. And 12 months a year, they have people who work on putting on Viva Vienna for 3 days. But that also gives them operating capital by which they support many, many projects in the 12 months after that. Some of the clubs are smaller, like mine. Some of the clubs are bigger, like Vienna and McLean. But there's clearly a Rotary Locator can help people find where the clubs meet. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and people are always welcome. And so I think both of us are hoping that those who know how to use technology well, who might be younger, or maybe they're older and they just use technology well, will use the tools necessary to, to find the different Rotary clubs in the area.
Yeah.
So going forward, I want to talk after the break a little bit more about what you are going to do as far as your initiatives in this district. We're going to talk about the crisis in the Bahamas. We're going to talk about Shelter Box, which a lot of people may not have heard of up to this point, and what you're going to do from now until June 30th. So for you watching at home, this is your Need to Know, and we are talking with Rotary District Governor Jonathan Lucas. Join us after the break.
Maria, so how's work?
It was fourth period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bell and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year, I might get to go.
Cool.
What are you looking for?
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Wanted some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about rooftop life. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire. Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark.
That was awesome! Let's go again.
3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and we are talking about Rotary today with District Governor Jonathan Lucas, who is the new governor of District 7610, which includes Northern Virginia. Thank you so much for being here, District Governor. So let's talk a little bit about what you're hoping to do with sort of how things have been done and ways in which we can open up Rotary to more people in the community.
Yeah, I think opening up Rotary is us reaching out instead of waiting for people to come to us. And part of my initiative this year is to reach out to the LGBTQ community, different organizations that represent people of color, and understand what their needs are, what their passions are, and how we can be of help to them. And also collaborate projects, have happy hours together, form partnerships, strengthen our work, but also strengthen theirs, and I think that will help us drive a more diverse membership base.
And you're right, and we actually have to go out and seek people and explain. So I'm a Rotarian, obviously I'm a Rotarian, and a lot of it really is explaining to people what Rotary is, because people that I encounter will say, oh, I won an essay contest when I was in 7th grade. Oh, I got a dictionary when I was in 3rd grade. Oh, I did this, but they were never engaged in Rotary. They never became Rotarians as adults. They didn't see themselves in that space. And I really think we have kind of a hurdle to overcome.
We do, and the reason I'm a Rotarian is because, I was a Rotary actor in college, and the district I was in really made it relevant for me. I mean, we were doing projects with the Rotarians. We participated in the national, the district conference and national meetings, and we became a part of what Rotary was, and that really helped me understand the importance of Rotary and solidified my commitment to the organization. I don't know if all districts do that as well, so it's about getting into those young people's minds how this can be beneficial, but also the importance of the work that we do.
And you actually ended up starting a club, Alexandria West End.
I did. I moved down here from Maryland, where I was a Rotarian of a club in Columbia, Maryland, and decided, I work in DC, I live in Alexandria, and there wasn't an opportunity to go to the lunch meeting club, and so I just decided to start one, and it's now in its 6th year, and we're buzzing along, and that's the great thing. You get a bunch of like-minded people together, anything's possible, and so we're making a difference on the West End of Alexandria.
Well, and so our motto is service above self. And that's what the motto has always been, is service above self. And so really you're getting a bunch of people together who want to do something together that impacts their community or the world. And again, there are a lot of clubs like ours that do projects abroad as well as things locally. There are also Interact clubs, and I suppose we should explain that Interact clubs are in high school, and Rotaract clubs are in college, but all the way up to age 30,
Correct.
if I'm remembering
That's correct.
correctly. So those are kind of like feeder streams for people to engage in Rotary as young people, and then move into being a Rotarian as an adult. One of the things I think we can talk about is RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Academy?
Yes.
RYLA, so explain a little bit about RYLA.
Yeah, it's opportunity for young people, high school age, to go for an extended weekend to learn about what Rotary does, understand how it impacts their lives, and have discussions and trainings and exchange ideas about how they can make a difference in their communities. And it's just a really great program. I look forward to it. It's coming up in October this year. I look forward to go down and visiting these young people. And this is where you plant the seeds of that service above self and being a person of action, really how you can, as an individual, impact the community. And, it creates hopefully a pipeline of Rotarians in the future.
And so the other one of my favorite programs too is the Youth Exchange Program, and we have a long one, a year-long one, but then we have the Summer Youth Exchange Program. Not a lot of young people know about it, not a lot of clubs go out there and promote it. I have to say, in all honesty, our club ended up with students for the Summer Exchange Program who are all friends of mine. I mean, they were the children of people who knew me.
Right.
And so how that works is that young people can do an exchange over the summertime. 3 weeks they host somebody in their home, and then for 3 weeks they're hosted in that other student's home. And it has worked out really well to give students for many students, their first taste of international travel or being abroad. And Rotary does everything. I mean, we place the students, we do background checks, we do the insurance. The only thing parents have to pay for is the flight over there and hosting the other student when they come. I mean, other than flights, Rotary does it all.
Yeah, and it's a great way to promote peace and understanding and conflict resolution. Myself, I was an ambassadorial scholar through Rotary in college and lived in Russia for a year. And there's no better way of really understanding another human being other than walking in their shoes and understanding their culture and their language. And these programs, both the summer one and the year-long program for students, is a great opportunity. And like you said, fully funded. All you have to do is sign up and be selected and engage and be open-minded. And so I hope more young people in our district take advantage of this.
You know, one of the interesting things, when one of the, and it may have been the first youth that we sponsored, when I went to the orientation that was held in the district, there was a young woman there who was homeschooled and had actually Googled foreign exchange programs and had come up with Rotary. She actually lobbied her parents, who went to a meeting with her, to a Rotary meeting, and she actually asked the Rotary Club if they would sponsor her for the Summer Youth Exchange Program. That was one of the most extraordinary shows of initiative I'd ever seen, because she wasn't even in a school program where she would have learned about it. She was homeschooled. And so that's something else I hope that people will think about with Rotary, is that we have programs for young people. And the same with Interact clubs too. If there's not an Interact club in somebody's high school, start an Interact club.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my initiatives this year is to start more of those and more Rotaract clubs. Our goal is to start 2 new Rotaract clubs in the district by the end of my term. And the great thing about Rotaractors now, with the new legislation coming out from the board of directors for Rotary International, is a Rotaractor can also be a Rotarian simultaneously. So they're getting closer knitted to us older folks. And
Stronger pipeline.
Stronger pipeline.
Because I was kept thinking to myself, because we have a Rotarian in our club who's like 26 years old, who came from Ohio. And his mother, who was a past president of the Rotary out there, said, well, one of the best ways to meet people is to join Rotary. And so Tori joined Rotary. And so we feel fortunate to have a young person, really young person in our club. And he's not like a second-tier Rotarian. He's a Rotarian.
Absolutely.
Makes all the difference. So let's talk a little bit about some of the international work that Rotary's doing. There's Hurricane Dorian devastated the Bahamas. And it hit particularly close to home for Rotary because our immediate past president of Rotary International is from the Rotary Club of East Nassau, Barry Rawson, who was actually at the conference in Hamburg this summer. And so there's been a tremendous outpouring of relief from around the world for the Bahamas, including 7610.
Absolutely. And the great thing about modern technology, as the hurricane was sitting on top of the Bahamas, I was actually on WhatsApp talking to Barry and other Rotarians around our zone, which is comprised of a multitude of districts that, in a particular geographic area. And so we were already planning next steps as the hurricane was going on. And Barry's just been unbelievable. He has rolled up his sleeves and been a real champion of the work that lies ahead, just being there every day and supporting his fellow country folks and trying to make a difference. And so 7610, the first thing I did was, of course, communicate to our members, our about 2,150 members around our district, saying like, look, here's where you can go to donate through, our Rotary programs, and also, send around a supply list. And our goal, I'll be talking more about that this week in a Facebook Live event, is we're going to set up donation locations around our district, and our goal is just to send one huge shipment down there in the next month or so of goods that people need to survive. And along with that is Shelter Box, which is an organization that's a Rotary sponsored organization that provides essentially in a kit a really nice large tent, cooking utensils and supplies and all the basics you need to survive. They're on the ground there as well, and the next few days a shipment of Shelter Box kits will be arriving as well in the Bahamas. And so Rotarians can give in a multitude of ways. You can donate dollars directly through the RI website or our district's website. You can start to collect goods that will be shipped down, and you can also support organizations like Shelter Box.
Yeah, and Shelter Box was actually started in the UK by a Rotarian, but now we have Shelter Box USA, and that's sort of an affiliated somehow organization, but it's based in the US. And a lot of times, like when there was the earthquake in Haiti, my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time, asked me what he should do as far as supporting Haiti, and I'm like, well, you know, you can go and donate a shelter box, and actually, if you donate a shelter box, they will tell you where in the world your shelter box gets deployed, which I think is a very cool thing, because there's disasters happening around the world all the time, and so there are warehouses full of these shelter boxes ready to hit the ground.
Yep.
And so that's just something unique if you want to support disaster relief for any disaster, future disasters. Shelter Box USA, and they're easy to find online, is a great way to make sure that people have, housing, that they can survive in, because a lot of times after the first disaster, there's follow-ons, especially after earthquakes.
Exactly. So this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint, and we realize that here in 7610. So we're in for the long haul and how we can support this effort, and then it will also give us some education on how to support any future disasters that may happen nearby.
Absolutely. And so you're in the last few minutes that we have, what you're hoping to do is really open Rotary up this year in 7610 to people who may be curious about it, who may not know about it, who may not know if they're eligible to join Rotary. Tell me how you're going to do that.
Yeah, well, I have something called the 5 points of enduring light, and those are in things like innovation, communication, and sharing what we're doing to the world, for the world, to the world. And one of the ways we're going to do that this year is through our district conference. And our goal is to open this up to non-Rotarians, to organizations that we want to partner with or are partnering with, and bringing in the community into the doors of Rotary, let them learn about it, let them meet us. And I think that's going to be better for us, for our membership, but also for the work we're trying to do.
And what date is that district conference?
It is May 7th through 10.
May 7th through 10.
And it's here locally. It's going to be in Sterling, Virginia, so it's not going to be a 3-hour drive for people, which is nice. And it's going to be fun. We are totally changing the paradigm what district conference looks like, and I'm excited to let people experience Rotary at its finest.
I'm excited too, and thank you so much for being here, Jonathan. And for those of you at home, you can go to Rotary7610.org, and this is what you need to know.